In our previous lesson, we had looked at ordered pairs and how these ordered pairs can be solutions to an equation. We also learned that in order for them to be a solution to an equation, they have to be on the line that is graphed on a coordinate plane by that equation, and which we'll learn how to do a little bit later in future lessons. So today we're going to learn about the coordinate plane, and we're going to learn how to graph the points on a coordinate plane. So a coordinate plane, remember, is formed by two number lines, a horizontal number line, which we call the x-axis, and a vertical number line, which we call the y-axis. They intersect right down here at a right angle and divide the plane into four quadrants. Now, the little interesting part about this is that the quadrants are numbered using Roman numerals for some reason, and it goes counterclockwise as opposed to the other way. So the top right quadrant is quadrant 1. This is quadrant 2, the one to the left of it. So that'd be top left is quadrant 2. Bottom left is quadrant 3, and bottom right is quadrant 4. Now sometimes a point doesn't lie in the plane; it actually lies right on top of one of the axes. And if that's the case, then we just say that that point is not part of any quadrant. All right. Now I had said that they cross at a right angle. Okay, so that's right here, and that's what we call the origin. All right, the origin is where the two number lines cross, or where the two axes cross, and that has a ordered pair of 0, 0. That's our starting point. All right. All the other points in a coordinate plane are shown by numbers that are written in the form of xy. That's what's called an ordered pair. A pair is two numbers, and an ordered pair is two numbers that come in a specific order. The x value is always the first one, and the y value is always the second one. So if we have a point like this red point here, the way that we come up with the coordinate plane is we look down at the x value, which is 4, and we look from that point to the left, in this case, to the y value, which is 3. So the value of this particular point right here is 4, 3. And when we write the ordered pair, we always write it in this format. You got to write it with the parentheses, the x value, comma, then the y value, and then closing parentheses. It's very, very important that you write it using the parentheses and the comma. If you don't write it like that, then it's technically not written as an ordered pair. It's just written as two numbers. Okay, so make sure that you put a parentheses around the ordered pair when you write it in your answers. Okay, so this point right here, the first question says, what quadrant is this point in? Well, it's the top right, which we know the top right is quadrant 1. Okay, and in your classwork, if you want to type it as a capital I, you can, or you can say, just use the number 1. Okay, write it as quadrant 1, or however you want to identify it, as long as you somehow identify that it is quadrant 1. Technically, you should probably use it as capital I. What's the ordered pair that shows the location of this point? Well, if I bring this point down, you see that the x value is at 2. So I put a parentheses, put the 2 down, put a comma, then I come up and I choose to look at the y value, which is 5. Okay, so, and then closing parentheses. So the ordered pair that shows this location is 2, 5. This one. This one, the point is in the bottom right. Well, what quadrant is this in? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is quadrant 4, which as a Roman numeral is written as IV. All right. So, and once again, if you want to write it as a number 4, that would be fine as well. And what's the ordered pair that shows the location? Well, put my parentheses, and I look at my x value. So come up here, my x value is 6, and I look at the y value, and my y value is -3. Right? So the ordered pair is, or the location is at 6, -3. How about this one? Well, it's in the bottom left. 1, 2, 3. So this is in quadrant 3. All right. And the ordered pair, if I look at the x value, bring it over. So that's at parentheses -6. And look at the y value. Whoa, I just made a mistake. Okay. All right. I looked at the y value. The x value is at -8, and the y value is at -6. All right. Y value is, so the location there is -8, -6. What quadrant is this point in? Well, it's up here in this top right, which is quadrant 1. Okay. And the location is at, okay, look at the x value, which is 5. Look at the y value, which is, look over here to the left, okay, which is at 1. All right, so that's at quadrant 5, or at location 5, 1. What quadrant is this point in? Well, 1, 2. So this is in quadrant 2. Okay. And the ordered pair, look at my x value. Okay. Which is parentheses -3 and +3. What quadrant is this point in? Well, you notice here, this point right here is right on the x-axis. So what you would put down is you would put down either none or not applicable, n/a, or something to, or you could even write down that it is, you could say it is on the x-axis. All right. Any of those answers are correct answers. So what's the ordered pair that shows the location of this point? Well, if you look at it, the x value obviously is at 6 because that's where it is. And then if I look over, this is the only little tricky part. It's right on where it crosses. Remember, this point right here, the origin is at 0, 0. So my y value is 0. All right. So that order pair, the order pair of that particular point is at 6, 0. If that point, for example, if that point was on the y-axis right here, okay, so then this point here would be the x value in this case. The x value is 0, and the y value is at -4. All right. What quadrant is this point in? Well, it's in 1, 2, 3, so quadrant 3. And the ordered pair is, the x value is at -3, the y value is at -5. All right. Okay, so sometimes we don't have we don't have a graph that we can look to see where it is, and sometimes it's quicker just to think about um, the signs of the thing. So in the first quadrant, if I come back um, to here, up here in this first quadrant up here, you see that both the x value and the y value are both positive. All right. In the second quadrant, over here, second quadrant, your x value is negative, your y value is positive. All right, so your x value is negative, your y value is positive. If you look at quadrant 3, rather than flipping back and forth, I can just draw a real quick one. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. Okay, so if we're looking at quadrant 3, your x values are going to be negative and your y values are going to be negative. So you have double negatives here. Okay, both your x and your y are negative. And then in quadrant 4, your x value is going to be a positive number and your y value is going to be a negative number. Okay, so so in this case, pause the video and copy these rules down. Okay. Okay. So now that you've got those rules copied down, we're going to look at which quadrant it is. Okay. So what quadrant is the point -4, 2 located? Okay. So obviously the x value is negative and the y value is a positive. If we look back at the rules, we can see that, or even if you want to just drew a real quick one, x value is negative, y value is positive, so that would be this quadrant up here, which is quadrant 2. All right. In what quadrant is the point 4, -2 located? Well, if I look at it, the x value is positive, the y value is negative, so that would be x value is positive, y value is negative. That would be quadrant 4. In which quadrant is the point -4, -2? Okay, both the x and the y are negative, which if you remember or if you look back at the rules, that is quadrant 3, where both the x and the y are negative. Here, both the x and the y are positive, which is quadrant 1. And in which quadrant is the point 0, 2? Okay, 0, 2, that means you're right at the origin, and you go up to the y as a positive. So this is on the y axis. Okay, anytime that you see a 0 as one of the locations in an ordered pair, you know it's going to be on one of the axes. Okay, so if you have 0 on the x and a number in the y value, that means it's going to be on the y axis. And if it would have been, supposing we would have said it was 2, 0, that would have been on the x axis. Okay. All right. So that does it for this lesson. If you have any questions, make sure you ask me, and go ahead and start doing your work. All right. Talk to you later.